the teams playing today, the team I'm watching most closely from a fantasy perspective, the fantasy impact is the Chiefs, the mighty Chiefs, this dynastic Chiefs team with an in his prime Patrick Mahomes and this incredible youth movement at wide receiver with Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy. Too bad they haven't, Worthy barely played before getting hurt. Rice is out until at least, I think, week 7. But they're trying to hold the line until these guys are back. Worthy, as of this recording, is expected to be back. That's a start. But man, what do you do with this receiving core when Rice comes back? And especially right now, assuming Worthy's back, do you start him with confidence? Do you still start Hollywood Brown? Is Travis Kelce, who has underwhelmed with a low target share, this is easily the lowest that he's had, that's more worrisome than even the low yardage, is the low target share. It's probably not going to get any better with Worthy back, and yet Kelce could dampen Worthy's ceiling, whereas in past years, we might have said a receiver would dampen Kelce's ceiling, perhaps. In this case, it really is Kelce going to be a thorn in the side of some of these wide receivers? If he keeps getting 5.5 targets a game, which is assumed, doesn't make Kelce a confident start even in 12-team leagues, but it also could make things difficult if you now have a more crowded receiving core. And that doesn't even include when Rice returns to the fold. Is Rice the alpha at that point? Maybe not. Maybe Worthy is a co-alpha. Maybe Rice is the 1A and Worthy is the 1B, and Hollywood Brown continues to produce. It's very hard to understand how to value these wide receivers in fantasy, just as it's been hard to understand whether we can trust Travis Kelce, just as it's been hard to understand how much we can trust Patrick Mahomes. I did draft him as a second quarterback. I never draft second quarterbacks. I did because he fell so far. And I thought, well, in the second half of the season, they have a pretty favorable series of matchups. I drafted Mahomes with the thinking that if my number one, Lamar Jackson, got hurt, I would have a guy in Mahomes who, presumably could roll over teams like the Cowboys in week 12, I think, or week 13, and then Houston in week 14, Chargers at home week 15, and then Tennessee in week 16. I like that. I like having Mahomes for those games as long as the Chiefs are still competitive. Presumably they will be. But the presumably is also worrisome because presumably, of course they're going to be competitive. Of course they're going to be good. And yet they're 1-2. They're playing the Ravens. This is a critically important game for both teams. But I'm eyeing the Chiefs. I'm looking at the Chiefs' outlook and I'm saying, if they lose this game, next week they go to Jacksonville. Okay. Some people might say that's an easy win. Maybe not. Jacksonville's defense has been pretty strong. Yeah, the offense has looked crazy, weird. Hard to know whether Parker Washington is going to continue to work his magic, and if Brian Thomas is benchable. But the defense has held on pretty strong. And so imagine the Chiefs at 1-3 going into Jacksonville, and then the following week they play the Lions. 3 weeks after that they go into Buffalo in a game that they're most likely going to be underdogs. Then their bye week, then they go into Denver, where in some world they might be underdogs. And then they play the Colts. So in those first 11 games, they could be 5-6, realistically. And beating Baltimore today puts them on a trajectory where we can see how down the stretch they will be playing confidently for a wild card spot. If they lose against the Ravens, there is a little anxiety about what happens to a Chiefs team when they finally hit those soft games where they have to thread the needle to get into the playoffs. And that is worrisome. It's too early to say that we should be worried about the Chiefs in general, but that's why this game is so important. I want the Chiefs to be in the driver's seat for their own fate, playoff fate, when they get to the Cowboys because I have Patrick Mahomes and that's the bargain I struck. That's what I expected. Patrick Mahomes' QB rating is worse than Geno Smith's right now. That is not what I expected, even without Rashee Rice, even without Xavier Worthy. This is an anxiety-ridden offense, and the last part of that is Isiah Pacheco, the backfield. I did not believe in him as a rookie, and he broke through, obviously. Then in 2023, I drafted him with confidence. Okay, this guy's based on his college usage. I think he's gonna be good for at least one more good year. So I'm gonna go all in on that. And perfect. He was fantastic. Then I faded him in the summer of 2024. I didn't like how many touches he had. It was a record for him, far above anything he had done in college. He had I forgot what it was. It was something like 350, including the playoffs. And that was worrisome. And I figured, when you get to 2024 and, Chiefs are looking to be repeat in the Super Bowl, why overwork Pacheco at that point, if you need him in the postseason more than anything? Well, then he gets hurt and it doesn't even matter. And now this year, he's playing just as poorly as he played last year. And that is concerning given the fact that Kareem Hunt can't really carry the load. And yet Kareem Hunt sometimes has been looking as good. It's occasionally better. Occasionally Pacheco's look better, but that's a tough backfield to figure out. If you can't start Pacheco with confidence and you can't start Hunt with confidence and you can't start Mahomes or Kelce with confidence, and with Worthy coming back, if that means that Hollywood Brown is now a question mark, and if that becomes even more muddied when we get to Rashee Rice's return, well, now we're looking at who do you trust on the Chiefs? And can you even look at Rashee Rice the way you have in the past couple of years and say, oh yeah, he's an automatic start? Is he going to be the alpha? Is he going to be the 1A? Or is Worthy ascending? Lot of concerns, a lot of question marks. And the big thing for the Chiefs against a relatively soft Ravens defense is taking care of business today, getting back to 2-2, and essentially going into this, continuing in this gauntlet of a schedule and trying to make sure that they are competitive when the easy games start up. But from a fantasy perspective, not only do I want them to be competitive, I also want to know who am I supposed to start on this team. And I think a lot of managers are thinking the same thing. Today, maybe we'll offer some clues about Worthy jumps right back in and is the short-term alpha. It also might offer some clues about how this backfield might shake out if Pacheco is someone who can turn things around. And it will also offer clues about the long-time partnership of Mahomes and Kelce, where Kelce is averaging about 5.5 targets a game. And the question becomes, in the face of being 1-2 and the risk of going 1-3, does Mahomes go back to the guy who has been his primary target throughout his career? I'm BJ Riddell, Fantasy Football for Winners. Follow me on the blog. Email me anytime. Good luck today with all your players, and we'll see you tomorrow.